everybody? Welcome to the Nerdy South. We are all about nerd culture here. This is episode 2 of our video podcast, and we're excited to get into Loki episode 2 review today. So it's going to be a review, a reaction, and kind of what's next. So that's going to kind of be the format of today's show. So sit back and let's get into this pie.
And before we dive in, I will say, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the episode yet, go watch the episode. Don't watch us yet. Watch the episode. Then come back. Watch us.
Yes, you'll be lost.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Lost in time.
So what did y'all think? I mean, Joey, give me initial just base reactions from the episode. What you like, what you didn't like.
Here's my base reaction. This show is awesome. I love the Loki show so far. It's now like my favorite, above WandaVision, above Falcon Winter Soldier. It's now my favorite Disney Plus series for Marvel. I think it's so good, and I love the whole time concept they're playing with, and I'm here for it. I think it's so good.
Same. Yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. There was so much to unpack in today's episode. I think it asks as many questions as it answers. But it's great. Definitely the top tier of the streaming shows that they've got out right now from Disney Plus, for sure, of the Marvels, 100%. Jeremy, what did you think, man? What was your initial reaction?
Oh, completely agree. I was excited that when I logged on and I saw that it was a new episode, that it was 50 minutes long, which is just beautiful. So I was excited for that. And, last episode just left me with a lot of, not really questions, but just anxious feelings, ready to see it kind of progress. I want it to progress faster, because I'm always a fan of the Netflix series that just come out all at once, and so then I can kind of just binge one after the other. But waiting this week, like with a traditional network show, is just painstaking, because you get to the end of the episode and you're like, oh, I'm ready to watch the next one, and I can't not watch it when it comes out. So yeah, that's where I'm at. But I thought that the quality, the script, the acting has just been above par, and I've been really impressed so far. Definitely my favorite one out of the 3 so far.
And it's so well produced too. I mean, it's Disney and it's Marvel, so I didn't think that the production quality was going to be bad or anything, but it's really done. It's really well done, so well done, that I just am I'm in awe of it as I watch it. I mean, the graphics are beautiful. Everything, the VFX is awesome. I mean, everything is so good. One of my favorite knee-jerk reactions was when Miss Minutes came up and she was on Loki's desk, and her hologram interaction with the physical space was so well done. So well done. I don't know, from a production standpoint, they had to have had a little light shining around whenever she moved, because it looked so good that I'm impressed. The graphics are really good in the show.
Agreed. Well, let's dive into more of a little bit of a review part here. So we start off the top of the episode. We get the nice little recap at the beginning of episode 1, which is always nice, just kind of catches you right back up.
I needed it.
Yeah, you always need, because there's so much to unpack over 50 minutes. I mean, each episode is like a little Loki movie, which is, it's just a treat. It's incredible. But so they give us the recap, and then they drop us in Wisconsin in 1985 in this Renaissance fair. So what did you guys think of that?
I mean, I loved the music that they chose for it.
I need a hero, yeah.
The hero.
It's just beautiful. It brings in that, because Thor Ragnarok was very much 80s inspired, especially from the music standpoint. So it brought over shades of that, and it just was a really it fit the scene. Yeah. The energy of the song fit the energy of the scene, and it was a nice marriage between action and it's more of a lighthearted song, because when I hear that song, I think of Shrek 2. I don't think of anything else, and so I thought the Renaissance Fair drop in immediately straight into Mobius and Loki getting sent there was great. I loved it.
Also, 1985 isn't that when Back to the Future came out?
That's when it was set. Yeah.
When it was set. Yeah. That's pretty fun. So
there's another interesting part about that scene that like I was writing my notes as I saw that. So you see this variant that we're following that's supposed to be Loki, that's the villain, touches the head of this the guard kind of thing that's trying to find him. And it got me thinking, like, Loki was only really able to do that with the staff that had Mind Stone inside of it. So it kind of another trigger for me, like from last episode we talked about how like I'm not sure that this is Loki, because this is an ability we've never actually seen Loki use without a secondary device. What y'all think of that?
Well, that when I saw that, I immediately thought, oh, that kind of reminds me of how Wanda Maximoff controls people. Like I thought about Age of Ultron when she did mind control on Tony Stark and the rest of the Avengers, and like their eyes went red, and this Loki variant made their eyes go green, but it was very much the exact same way that they of controlling the mind. And I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely. Later in the episode, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till we get there. I'm gonna wait. I loved it. I loved everything about it, though. What did you guys think of the Mobius Loki interaction in this episode? I thought it was great. Just banter back and forth. It definitely
turned into a buddy cop.
Yes,
dude. The buddy cop vibe we talked about last episode is just gotten even more prevalent in this episode, because they are just hanging out, being bros this whole time. Like, there was an episode, the part of the episode where they're in the Renaissance Fair, and Mobius already can just see right through Loki's crap. Like, he can just see right through him trying to spin this yarn, and he's not buying it at all. It's so good. Like that has and their chemistry is just fantastic. So
it is. Yeah. I was really waiting for Loki to like actually give us some good knowledge when he was recounting what the Loki variant did in the tent, and then Mobius was like, "No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Let's go."
Yeah, I was expecting. I don't know why I was expecting Loki to act differently, but he acted exactly how Loki would.
Yeah.
But I was expecting him to just embrace it. He's out of the TVA jumper. He's in clothes. I thought it was funny how they gave him a variant jacket. It had it on the back so nobody mistook who he was in the field. But he ended up just playing the trick and trying to escape.
I will also say Mobius he's looking a little tired. All through this episode, I just felt like Mobius looking more and more tired.
Needs a strong nap, my guy does.
Yeah.
Did y'all think that there's a point in there where they talk about how, like, keep your eyes on the Loki variant because there's more of this variant than any other variant?
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, that they've been tracking all these different Lokis through time, kind of thing. There's also even a moment in there where when Loki's kind of trying to sell this yarn, that he says that on Asgard they have the saying, when wolves' ears are near, the wolves' teeth are closer. I was like, man, they're really selling. Okay, he's really selling me on this.
Right.
And this is just not having any of it, which is
right.
It's great.
This is good.
Well, I love seeing the hologram when they talked about the different Lokis. How it was all the different variations of him.
Yeah.
Whether he's a giant, a hulkish monster, it just all the different variations of him that have existed across these multiple timelines, or times within the timeline. I just thought that was really cool.
Well, before we leave the Renaissance Fest, I have to ask, did anybody see or notice the lady as they walked out of the tent, Mobius and Loki and the TVA? They came out of the tent and they're about to leave. Did you notice the Renaissance person that was talking to them? It was a lady in a white dress, and she had the dark brown hair, and she was like, y'all aren't dressed right, or something like that. And she's like, we need this kind of thing. Did anybody else think that kind of looked like Agatha from WandaVision?
That's who I thought it was. That's who when I heard her speak, I thought it was from Megan. And then like it shows her more close up, and I was like, oh no, that's not the same actress. But
I don't know. It's pretty close. Yeah. I thought for sure that was Agatha.
Definitely threw me for a loop on that one.
I hope they drop some Easter eggs like that in. We're like, now that we know that she has been around since the Salem witch trials, and now that we're traveling around in time, let's pepper in some Agatha. Let's see what she's been up to in over the last 100 years.
So one part that I thought that was interesting was Ravonna Renslayer. She's Mobius's boss. Seems to be the only person in the TVA that claims to have contact with the timekeepers. And I thought that that was an interesting kind of revelation, whether it's true or not, or whether she's just, spitting game to seem more important than she is. I thought that was interesting.
We got some good timekeeper knowledge this time around, right? We found out that they are, that you can get to them, right? That was Mobius's and Loki's interactions. Like Loki, Mobius saw through that Loki he wants to go, try to take over the TVA basically. And then Renslayer is like, I talked to them and stuff. And then you have Mobius saying that like the timekeepers are still trying to put together the end, which I thought was really interesting. I thought that they had already laid out the sacred timeline, but it's like they laid out most of it, but all the ends are still getting put together.
And then we get kind of revealed at the end of the episode by the hostage that she has revealed how to get to them. So there is a way to get to them that she has revealed, which is super interesting. I can't wait to hopefully meet them again. In the last episode, I kind of said hot take that I don't think there actually are any timekeepers, but I'm anxious to see what happens, how that gets unveiled. Now, there was when Mobius and Loki were talking at one point, there had a lot of good conversation in this episode. Like you guys said, we get a lot of reveal. But he says this one comment. He's trying to get under Loki's skin to really get him to get his goat kind of thing. And he's not getting him. But then he finally says something that I feel like gets him when he calls him an ice runt. And he finally says, maybe you just feel bad for the ice runt. And I was like, and you can kind of see it on Loki's face. He's like, oh, you know a lot about me. Like you're really getting me now. Now I'm getting pissed off. Like I got to get in here. I got to figure this thing out, man. That caught me.
I love that's especially when I noticed that Mobius was starting to get a little tired. Was he just was like, I don't really care. All I want to do is catch this variant and go back to what I was doing. It's a really interesting dynamic between the two of them. Before that though, and before they go to the Renaissance Fair, we see all the other Loki variations that are out there. And I think one of my favorite ones was the Loki that was still blue,
that was cool.
Which was his the Frost Giants, right?
Yeah.
That was his native color, and he kept it. I thought that was really interesting.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just loved the interaction between, and I agree, you could definitely tell that Mobius is tired. He's got a lot riding on this because Renslayer is like, look, you can have him, but he's your responsibility. And all of a sudden it becomes a way more personal and way more job centric for Mobius to not screw up and lose Loki or let him kind of do whatever he wants. That they place a lot of stock in the fact that Loki is clearly a dangerous variant in whatever form he's in.
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I also love that they are quizzing Loki on how time travel works.
Yeah, make sure you read and watched all the videos.
Yeah. It's so bureaucratic. Make sure you do. And then they tested him.
I feel like there's definitely going to be a callback to the moment when he explains how holographic projection is different from duplication projection.
Oh yeah.
And because he really went into explain it, like he understands his powers, of course, better than anybody else. So I think that's so super interesting, and that gave us a lot there. He also talked about, or if you kind of zoomed in when you were watching it, I was watching it on my phone, so I was zooming in. When he goes to the librarian and he's like, can I see, the end of time? Can I see where, the TVA was invented? She's like, no, those are all classified. He's like, what am I allowed to see? She's allowed to see one folder. And it literally it says on it, it's like Loki variants 720 through 89. So 720 through 789. Those are the only variants he's really allowed to even look at.
That's crazy.
Plus the stuff Mobius gave him. And then with all, in that, he starts seeing the Ragnarok files, which is super interesting. Again, this Loki has not yet experienced the destruction, the Armageddon of his home world.
Right.
Which it's amazing to watch Tom Hiddleston work in the show for sure.
And it's crazy how, and I really love the Armageddon part, because it just kind of it made you realize that the timekeepers, there are certain destructive events or planetary events that they're okay with.
Right. The better part of this.
Okay with Asgard being destroyed. That fit the sacred timeline. You know, they were okay with Pompeii happening and and all those people that fit the timeline. And it made me like really, this episode specifically made me understand better how their reset works as well. Like it only does a certain radius. It only resets a certain radius of the area. And, but it takes away, I guess it takes away all the TVA stuff that was maybe around, but like, does it get rid of people that interacted with the TVA? How does that work? How does the resetting work? Because leading up to the end of the episode, something really big happens, which I'm sure we'll get to in a minute. But the resetting of the events are what I'm kind of curious. What is happening in that moment? We got a little more to this time around, where we actually saw it go out and restart resetting things, but I don't quite know what the impact is of resetting an event.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I finally remembered or heard it again what it was called. It's called pruning, which makes sense because they're pruning the branches from the timeline. So I was like, well, that makes sense. That's clever. But you even saw in the Renaissance Festival scene where they used a lance, lance, I think, to try to battle the variant Loki, and even that was pruned from the reset device with the reset device. So
and then Loki And then Loki says, so you just disintegrate people, and Mobius is like, pretty much. So like, how does the resetting work without causing more events? I guess again, I guess they're okay with a little variation, and that's how Loki had 789 at least of himself. But it's their play with time travel is very interesting.
Yes.
Well, and the fact that you can do whatever you want prior to an apocalyptic event,
right?
And it doesn't matter.
That's a great loophole. That's incredible writing, I have to say.
So good, so smart.
So I thought that was really cool. So let's get into the ending. Let's get into the ending.
We gotta go to Alabama. So we got to go to Alabama to get
Alabama, of course, of all places.
And so they went back to that.
It's going to happen.
They went back to that kablooey gum and started really going with the time aura of it, trying to figure out where it came from, and then when that crossed over with an apocalyptic event, and figuring out. What did y'all think of that scene? Just that whole culmination of them going to the Box Mart, and I think it was Box Mart, or maybe it was Rocksmart. Rocksmart. And going there, and then everything that kind of transpired there. What did y'all think of that?
I thought it was so good. I thought it was clever. It's a clever way to first of all, for the Loki variant, the villain to really think, to really know, to understand that if I stay in apocalyptic events, and I can do what I want there, and that won't, I can hide there. Like how did they find out they could do that? First of all, that was really surprising to me. And then I really liked the whole like setup that basically what they're suggesting is our world is not going to go so well for us. There's going to be a lot of apocalyptic events happening between the 2030s and 2050s of our current timeline. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but they had quite a few things to go through between 2047 and 2057.
Yes.
It was like hurricane, cyclone, hurricane, flood, and I was just like, oh my.
It definitely, like, the moment when the villain starts to reveal itself, and you see the villain kind of move from person to person, and it moves into Randy. It made me think of the Denzel Washington movie. I think it's called Fallen, where there's like a demon that he's trying to basically kill, and it keeps moving from person to person. And like, it was very ominous, very creepy. But again, it was one of those things where I was like, we've never seen Loki really do this. Like this, and Loki says, I would never treat me like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The moment when they're in the Rocksmart, and I was like,
Yeah.
again, this is ringing the bell like in my head. Like, this Loki? Is it not? I mean, they keep telling me it's Loki, but I don't know. I just don't know.
But then we saw something we'd never seen Loki do before. Our Loki did it. He force pulled the Roomba vacuum to himself.
He
I didn't
can't
know he could
pull.
do that.
He's not worthy to call Mjolnir to himself, but he can pull the Roomba.
He can pull a Roomba.
Yeah.
That's a power we've never seen Loki use before, is to be able to just pull something.
Yeah, in all the movies, and I mean, you've seen him, double himself. You've seen him hologram, all that, but you've never seen him use telekinesis before,
Yeah.
or and be able to fight like that. So that was an interesting power that revealed itself. And I loved the dialogue between the variant Loki and the Loki, and how kind of he was like, look, this is what I want to do. Like there's no sense in fighting. Like, let's join together. Like, let's join up. Like, and the variant just had no interest in that, right. Especially when it possessed that massive guy that just was throwing him around the department store. I loved that. I loved the fight scene. I thought it was great. And it was a great culmination of seeing Loki trying to convince somebody, what, just let me pair with you. Let me kind of come beside you, and let's do this together. We're going to take over the timekeepers. We'll rule the TVA. And then for him just to be shut down was entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get the reveal at the end of this female Loki, maybe Loki's mom. We don't know. I think we're supposed to believe it's a female version of Loki, a female variant.
Yeah.
At this point.
Except if you watch the credits, I think she's credited as Sylvie is her name.
Sylvie. Oh, see, so she has another name.
But she didn't want to be called. She said, "Don't call me Loki."
Yeah, she was disgusted by the idea of being referred to as Loki, which is also super, because Loki, Laufey's son, she does not like that. So again, I don't know if this is actually Loki or if this is another, sibling between Thor and their older sister, or is this a younger sister? Is this another child of the Frost Giants that's his sibling there?
Yeah,
we don't know. We're gonna find out hopefully in the next few episodes.
Well, she had Loki armor, and she had
little horns.
Loki's horns, but one of them was broken off.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
So there is. I know very little about this. I haven't done much research, but I know that there is a Lady Loki in the comics.
Okay.
And so maybe worth us investigating between now and our next episode, kind of a little bit more about it.
Comics.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know who she is. I don't know what clearly she's more powerful than Loki.
Maybe they're combining some storylines into this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the MCU definitely does not adhere strictly to comic book storylines at all. But I thought that it was interesting that she had been collecting the reset devices and placing them strategically all over this department store, and then set all of them to go through the time doors. And then all of a sudden it cuts to the TVA, and you start seeing this scrolling list of all these different locations that are creating these branches because a reset happened when it didn't need to happen. And so I'm going to be interested to see how the TVA deals with that, what it does to the timeline, how unstable it makes it. It's going to be interesting.
Here's the question we have to ask, though. Was we'll just call her Lady Loki for the time being. Was she trying to reset all those timelines to hurt the timeline, or to get the TVA agents out of the TVA? Like, if she creates mass hysteria for the TVA agents, and they all leave to different parts of the timeline to fix those events, TVA is empty.
Mm-hmm.
Timekeepers are easily accessible, especially if she knows where they're located at.
Very true.
So what's her end goal?
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see. I'm interested to see where they went through that door. When Lady Loki and Loki, walked through the door, and to see him decide to make the choice to follow her.
Yeah.
When he knows, it goes against what his mission, what his, self-proclaimed mission is with the time, overthrowing the timekeepers. Maybe he thinks that she can help him, accomplish that quicker, or maybe that's just his, his victimology in his mind, or, his choice to always run. and live to fight another day.
This version of Loki is an opportunist, I think. If there's an opportunity to get away from maybe something that he didn't want to be a part of to begin with, I think he'll take it.
Well, and this one lines up really closely with the Loki in Ragnarok, because that's what he was on that planet. Was, you know, he said, I don't even know this guy. He's not my brother. And he's like, dude, shut up, man. I'm trying to get in with the Grand Master. And so, you know, Loki, I think, has always been, to your credit, an opportunist. This one is just, you know, before everything else happened.
Yeah.
Immediately post New York. It's just interesting to see that, you know, he may not be as bad as we think he is. And I do think he's going to ultimately have a redemptive arc within this show.
I think
similar to what he had in Ragnarok, but it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here.
The question is like, so the thing I keep asking myself is like, how did Loki leaving the timeline, the sacred timeline, or the timeline that the Avengers were on, how did that affect their timeline? Because the TVA agents basically just picked him up and they reset him, the area in Mongolia or wherever he fell into after he stole the Tesseract. But did they go back to when he left with the Tesseract and reset that? Or because now he's just with the TVA agents. So what's happening? He wasn't put back in his right place yet.
What's interesting is they talk about the sacred timeline, but the Avengers, of course, created all of these branches, these 6 branches, intentionally, or to the Timekeepers' pleasure. But this Loki is from one of the timeline branches that the Avengers created in Endgame.
Right.
And so it's not even the Loki from the original MCU timeline. This Loki was off of a branch to begin with. So I wonder, like, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I guess if he was pruned and he was disintegrated, it wouldn't matter because he was off of a branch.
Yeah.
But he wasn't, though. He's working with the TVA.
But what I'm saying is, like, his existence within the sacred timeline is almost irrelevant because he came off of a branch timeline anyways.
Right.
Oh, I see.
Because he came off of when they went back to get the Tesseract, where once they put the Tesseract back, it completes that circuit kind of thing. And so the time back in his existence goes back to what it was, which is him being taken to the cell in Asgard.
I'm gonna need my own like whiteboard here with my own sacred timeline so I can draw it out. And like,
I need the red thread to carry it around the pins. And
right.
So predictions. This is the time of the show where we're going to do the predictions. I have one that I think is really cool. And I can either go first or last or in the middle. It doesn't really matter. To do it, though, I need to screen share. I need you to go ahead and give me ability to screen share, Joe. Because as I was listening to this, and of course we know Kang the Conqueror is coming in Quantum Mania. And we know that he's a time travel villain, all this stuff. I want to show you guys a picture. Let's go ahead and screen share. And I want to show you guys a side-by-side comparison picture between the Timekeepers and more than likely what Jonathan Majors will look like as Kang. Of course, this is fan art. It's not official. But does this guy right here not look suspiciously like this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I've been thinking that the whole time.
And so my question is Kang the Conqueror one of the Timekeepers?
I think it's possible.
This is the thing that's just bumping around in my brain is, we know obviously Loki's going to connect to Quantum Mania. We know it's going to connect to, Multiverse of Madness. We know all of that. Spider-Man Far From Home, No Way Home. We know all that. And so, I was watching this again, and then I found this online, and I was like, man, the similarities are striking.
Mm-hmm.
And
for sure.
So it'll be interesting, but that's my one thought for the future. I don't really know. I have no idea where the rest of the show is going to go. I just like thinking about how is this going to tie in.
If you're out there watching this right now and you want to rewind and go look at that picture, I'm just saying they put a mustache on my actor and make him the last guy. I'm just saying
Exactly.
Yeah.
that stash on the last timekeeper was wild.
And ironically, in the comics, Ravonna Renslayer was actually a lover of Kang.
Okay. Okay.
So
that's how she contacts.
She's kind of always in the middle of him too. Like he's that specific timekeeper is always behind her. Either when she had Loki on trial, he was in the middle of her desk when she was in her office with the three of them, the three statues. But if you remember, if you go back, the three statues in her office, two of them are holding something, and that one specifically that you're talking about, Jeremy, his hands are down like this, and he's kind of in a very religious
stance.
And I actually had one more. I was going back and watching the Miss Minutes presentation, and it talked about how the multiverses were at war with each other. And I think that Wanda becoming the Nexus being that she became, I think weakened the fabric between the multiverses. And by the end of Loki, leading into No Way Home and leading into Multiverse of Madness, I think what we're going to see is the sacred timeline destroyed, and you're going to end up with all of these offshoot multiverses at war with each other. And I think that Lady Loki is actually a Nexus being from her timeline.
Okay.
And the fabric in between the two is so weak because of Wanda discovering her power that now Nexus beings are able to cross over into the multiverse. And she's got the same time aura as Loki, but she's not Loki. That's why she looks different. And the rest of the Lokis that we saw all looked like Loki because they're from this timeline or this multiverse. But you start thinking about Loki's from another multiverse. Interesting.
That's a good theory.
I don't have any theories. I have a rapid fire question for you two gentlemen. I have two. We'll start with the first one. Jet skis, do they live up to the hype of my man Mobius talking about these jet skis, or do they not live up to the hype? I say they do. They live up to the hype. They're incredible. Jet skis are fun.
I love jet skis. They're a lot of fun. I like jet skis a lot. I don't think I'd put them as high from an entertainment standpoint as Mobius would, but if I was him and I've only lived in the TVA, like he says, he was created to do the TVA stuff. So like if he came across him and was like, I want to be on a jet ski one day, then you know what? More power to you. They're fun, but I don't think they're as fun as.
Do you think Mobius is getting on the jet ski before the end of the season?
If he doesn't,
absolutely.
I'm really disappointed.
I agree. I think 100% he's getting on the jet ski, and I can't wait to see Owen Wilson just ripping the throttle on a jet ski across some lake and river somewhere.
I can imagine it being like a scene where like they're running away and they have to use jet skis to get away. And Loki's like,
they have to use jet skis to get away.
It takes a moment.
Incredible. That would be incredible.
Looks at the jet ski, he's like, oh yeah. And then he gets on. Yeah. Especially if they have an episode that's in the 90s. That would be even more fun.
Yes. Jeremy, your thoughts on the jet skis?
I mean, I've never really been a big fan of them, but that's because I got thrown off of one once and I hit the water pretty hard. So I steer clear of them, but I'm sure that they are fun. I don't know if they're like the pinnacle of water sports entertainment, but
he puts a lot of stake in it. He's in the 90s. Only one thing came out.
Yes. There's only one other thing that I caught in this episode, which they definitely did in the first episode too. When a lot of times when the TVA talk to each other, they will end that conversation with "for all time," and the other person will respond and say "always," which is very interesting. I can't wait for that to play out a little more. Maybe we're going to find out where that phrase comes from as we proceed forward.
And also, there's another agent out there like Mobius. So who is this other agent?
Yes.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm excited. I can't wait for the next episode. It's going to be so much fun.
And the only thing we didn't talk about is that guard right there at the end. She said, it's real. It's real. That's all she kept repeating is it's real.
It's real.
What's real?
Interesting.
We don't know. I'm excited.
So we're at the end of the show. Any miscellaneous news from around the interwebs that we've seen, that we've heard?
I got nothing right now. It's silent and dark. The only thing I'm really waiting to hear or to see is a trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. That's all I'm waiting on.
Yeah.
So
nothing for me as well.
So the only thing that I heard is that we should be seeing our first mutant introduced into the MCU in Black Widow.
Okay.
So Dave Harbour put on Twitter, he was rattling off the list of characters, and he mentioned one called Ursa, which directly corresponds to Ursa Major, or I think it's Ursa Major or Ursa Minor. I can't remember which one, but it's basically a bear mutant. And it's the first mutant that's getting brought into the MCU, which is exciting because, as we all know, they've announced Fantastic Four, not given any kind of date or anything, but it is in phase 4 or 5, probably not till 2023. But it's very exciting because Fox did an okay job to mediocrely bad with mutants, and I'm ready to see the MCU's take on it. I think as long as Hugh Jackman does something, just something, and of course, Deadpool will be a mutant within the MCU. But
I think mutants will show up earlier. I think they'll show up in Loki.
You think so?
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll show up in Loki. I mean, we're talking about variations, and the Eternals trailer came out right before Loki came out, which has the potential to talk about deviances, and I think Lady Loki could be a mutant.
Okay. All right. I'm here for it.
It's all possible.
All the other Lokis look like Loki at least, and she doesn't look anything like him. And to Grayson's point, who is she? We don't know. I think she could be a mutant.
I love it.
So an interesting thing that I'll wrap with this, Feige, I remember him saying that Multiverse of Madness is going to change the landscape of the MCU going forward, period. And how there are going to be all these different, the MCU will become a multiverse itself. And so in doing that, he allows for Fox's X-Men to live within this grander multiverse, Sony Spider-Mans that aren't connected, the non-Tom Hollands, which is, I think, how they're going to incorporate Doc Ock and Electro and Sandman and all that stuff. And I am a firm believer that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to make an appearance in freaking Spider-Man No Way Home. I hope that they combine all the music together, and I can envision it, tears, just 2 tears just stream down my cheeks as you hear that music all together. It's just going to be I'm so excited for the end of the year. It's not even funny.
Yes, that's going to be amazing.
Well, I think that they already kind of teased it just a little bit. I know that they claimed that that in WandaVision that Boner was not Quicksilver, but he could still be a multiverse version of Quicksilver and just not know it yet.
Right.
Exactly.
Or a variation of Quicksilver that, who knows? I mean, at this point, we have multiverses, we have variations and deviances of the same people, and we have properties across the board that are recasting. So there's opportunity for them to just go ahead and say the multiverse is the way that not only mutants, but also the explanation for why there's 2 different Quicksilvers in Marvel.
Exciting times.
And with all that, I think we're at the end of the show here, guys. So be sure to follow, subscribe, click the bell, do all those things to do, because we want to make sure that you don't miss another episode at all. Episode 3 next week. We can wait for it. NerdySouth.live. See y'all next week.
And don't forget, we want to hear your theories, so hit us in the comments, ask us questions. We all have our own favorite characters in Marvel, in the MCU, and in the Marvel universe as a whole. So we want to hear from you. Sound off in the comments. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll see you next episode.
See ya.